we have Utsav giving us an update on a very exciting initiative around our core services. So without further ado, Utsav, the floor is yours.
Awesome, Robin. Thank you, everyone. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening if we have folks joining us from Asia Pac. My name is Utsav Sanghani. I'm a recent addition to the PM team on the Avanti side, driving what we call as Neuron's core services. And essentially, the goal of core services is to bring about convergence between our various products and build that synergy. So if you go to the next slide here, maybe a representative graphic is this architecture slide will help us sort of understand how core services comes into being. If you'll see those horizontal lines that have representative capabilities, these capabilities will span across our portfolio of solutions, and this is really driving and marching Ivanti towards that platform vision where we're built on top of the Neurons platform across all of these product capabilities and across all of these products in our portfolio, looking at things like a unified login experience with one Ivanti login, and I'll touch on that in just a few minutes. Having a consolidated user management and access control capability, where regardless of what part of the ecosystem you are in, if you set up your access control, you're able to have that translate across different systems and really break those quote unquote boundaries. Um, the next piece there is to essentially look at how, with the bedrock of an authentication and authorization capability, how do we build that UI experience, that UI UX convergence, and then be able to allow a persona based landing page experience, and I'll touch on that a little bit as well, and then being able to consume all of that information and be able to align internally and externally to build consensus around the data that Avanti is giving you across its portfolio of IT and security solutions. So that's the grand vision. We have a key, we have a finite number of key capabilities coming out in Q2. So I'm gonna just quickly touch over and just browse over those capabilities here. We do have a beta starting on one of those initiatives, so I welcome feedback and would love volunteers to help us improve that. So with that, if we move to the next slide, please. Um, so Oil, or One Ivanti login, has two phases coming out in calendar year quarter, one, which is this quarter, as well as next quarter. This quarter, we're converging the authentication experience between the UEM product portfolio, the Neurons product portfolio, and the MDM product portfolio. What this really means is if you're authenticating with, let's say, OIDC as a protocol, we're able to essentially converge that login experience. You're not required to log in multiple times. We'll persist those authentication mechanisms across these two capabilities and products. And we have a global session timeout, which means that if you're working in product one and you want to, let's say after 30 minutes move to product two, we'll persist that activity so you don't get logged out, and essentially giving you that unified authentication experience across the board. We're starting off, as I mentioned before, with OIDC, which is going out as we speak, and then in Q2 we're expanding support for additional protocols, which is primarily SAML and LDAP. I know we have a few Neurons customers who are interested in SAML support. So this is also where Oil is going to start introducing these capabilities, and then we're expanding our horizontal coverage model to also include the ITSM Neurons for ITSM product line. Um, if we go to the next slide here, um, in addition to authentication, obviously access control becomes a key part of it. So one of the problems we have today is there is no central unified role-based access control capability. If you are a customer using multiple products, you do struggle to set up access privileges across multiple products, and you have to do that multiple times. So the way we're trying to converge this is essentially bring the UEM and MDM capabilities under one umbrella and be able to have unified access control with the new access control UI, which is the same one that you've probably seen in the Neurons portal. So the same Neurons portal, but it also allows you to set up access permissions for MDM. So you have a truly unified experience. This is going to be accessible today. In MDM as well as the UEM portals separately. In Q2, we're gonna merge them together. So regardless of if you're browsing through the MDM capability, or if you're browsing in Neurons, you're able to land on the same page. So truly bringing you that converged experience from an access control standpoint. Um, if we go to the next slide, now I talked about the bedrock of all these capabilities, right? Authentication, authorization. Now that we have all of that, how do we make sure we truly bring about UI UX convergence, which has been a key feedback item from this forum over the past few months. So what we're working on actively, and I will have a demo for you for folks who are going to be at ISS. We are essentially converging the navigational experience where we're making the look and feel consistent. So when you're switching between products, you're switching between use cases as a specific persona, you're able to maintain that consistency. There's no jarring sort of a jarring experience as it relates to product switching, which can be a bit of a hard context switch. So we're trying to remove that inconsistency, make it uniform across the board, and then have a set of global settings, authentication, access control, which applies across the portfolio, sort of living in one global location. So regardless of where you access it from, you have a better way to consume it and you can set it up, and really improving the overall onboarding experience with our products. Additionally, we're replacing what currently exists as an app switcher with a 9-pin app switcher, very similar and very analogous to how the Googles and Microsofts of the world do it across their different products. So we're making this more in line with our design design template and design philosophy. So stay tuned for this as well. This is being seen with a lot of excitement across the install base, and this is coming in Q2 and Q3, targeted for Q2 and Q3 of this year. And then finally, I had one other slide, if I recall. Actually, that was pretty much it for this update. But I do have more. We do have more updates on additional capabilities, which we can bring forth to this forum in a future session. With that, I think that's my time. I'll turn it back over to Robin. Thanks, everybody.
Super. Thanks. That's a very exciting update there. Okay, so first of all, talking from a platform perspective, there's lots going on across the broader platform. First of all, we are bringing some enhancements to the people view. So if you'll recall in the .4 release, we brought in the device view the enhanced attribute picker. So this is getting access to the full depth and breadth of data services from a device perspective to be able to build groups, to be able to filter columns. So we are bringing that same capability into the people view. Next, one of the other highly anticipated features of the platform is the dashboard designer. So we have been busy working on getting the initial beta flavor of that one available in customer environments on demand. So that work is still in flight. So as we continue to work through the quarter end and into the next quarter, we're going to be continuing to roll it out, continuing to roll in the enhancements, give it the appropriate soak test so that we can continue to be on a good footing for GA readiness. So again, I know there's a lot of demand and anticipation for that initial functionality. So we're keen to get it into folks' hands as soon as we can. But again, we will continue to work through and communicate out once that is available. So next up is agent management or policy management in general. And this is an area of really huge strategic importance for us because it's so pivotal to a number of the experiences on the platform. So again, as we continue to bring capabilities from our patching perspective, our UWM perspective, again, having a top of class policy management system is key to maximizing the success of adoption of this. So we have a huge amount of focus on driving improvements in this area. So at the heart of that are some new agent management workflows. And that's just some of the call-out items here. So there's an awful lot in terms of brand new UX, new screens. And again, we will be continuing to get early access feedback, continuing to roll those changes in. But some of the headline capabilities this unlocks. So first of all is the concept of coexisting capabilities. So previously, when you want to leverage special case engines or agents on devices such as connector servers, deployment representatives and things like that, they have been designated devices which are allocated to that particular role, but they can't therefore, for example, be also able to be patched or be able to leverage edge intelligence or healing. So part of this work means that an agent can carry any of these capabilities so that you can get the full spectrum of capabilities across devices. Next is enrollment key management, and enrollment keys are how we under the hood assign devices to policies, and that is a back-end service as it exists today. And so by exposing this in the UI, enhances visibility, it improves the supportability in certain circumstances. In environments where agents are getting perpetually reinstalled over the top, it can lead to exhaustion. So it's really about making it more visible, more robust, more supportable, and providing that ability to be able to regenerate enrollment keys, to tag them against policies. And that really ties into the next piece, which is from a distribution perspective, how do I take the headache out of making sure the right devices end up in the right policy? So the ability to auto register an agent with policy is part of this next tranche of work, and there'll be continuing improvements in this area as we continue to iterate, but that's going to be a key area. The ability to push install as well, so discovering devices, leveraging credentials to be able to push out the agents in a more turnkey manner, and a raft of policy management actions to be able to respond appropriately to devices that maybe have a stuck deployment, or to move devices between policies. So it's really a broad spectrum of improvements across that area.